Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. To learning from Jesus what true helpfulness is. And I'm realizing more and more I have no idea. I really, no idea what a miracle is, no idea what a release is. What to a miracle, no idea what a miracle looks like. When he tells me, oh, that was release, it's like, really? It didn't feel like a release. It felt like I was really mad at you. He says, well, at least you're talking to me. Even when you tell him you don't want to talk to him, because see, that's at least acknowledging that he's there. You know, you're screaming at God, I don't want to talk to you, but you're talking to him. It's so great, you know. Some of these movies, like I said, they're like the 5 hairball movies where you really get they just keep giving. You just keep seeing new things like this Mr. Robot series and how Elliot's on the beach. You know, he seems going to his wedding. Man, what a symbol. Because he kills kind of the good guy off so he can marry the woman of his dreams, the love of his life, and he can marry her, and he goes out to the beach to his wedding. And after he escapes the police officer because he's guilty for putting his dead happy self in the box, and gets discovered. These are such great, it's an amazing. Oh my gosh, how perfect representation of fractionation and consciousness, desired experience to kill God, put him in a box. It doesn't get any better. And then you're guilty, so you run away, feel guilty, run from the guilt. And then you run to the beach to try to get married, see in form, to join bodies, because that's where the belief in happiness is. And Mr. Robot's on the beach trying to tell him, you know, you made it up, you made it up. And then, right is the spirit saying, look, you made it up. Okay. He sees the girl in the white dress running away. And he runs to her. He thinks he's running to love, and he's running away from looking to see. Right there's the opportunity to see what's true. So we think we're running toward love, union in form, but we're actually running away from seeing what's true right now. That is just chock full. That's on the top, one of the best all-time series ever. For looking at sort of the representation of denial of divinity, really. I said, Jesus, that on your top 10? See if Jesus has a top 10. He goes, yep. All-time Jesus. Look at this one, movies or series. To look. So today we look again and see where there's a denial of divinity, starting with the light, which has no denial, no time, no space, no limitation. And let Jesus show us where all the becauses and the but Jesuses are. Oh, I want to say no to true happiness. To find out where we're running. where we think we're running to something or we're running from something, where we're missing the entire point that it's already here. That's pretty much it. Jesus says that's it. And standing into it, even if you're mad, stand into it. Because you'll see even that passes. That's the ephemeral passing. And the light's still here. Sometimes it just plays like that. He says it just plays, but it's not. You still see it doesn't last. When is anger just like just permanent? You can try and make it permanent. It can seem like it's permanent, but in truth, it comes and goes. Like everything else, it comes and goes. We're mad because we can't even keep being mad. I still want to be mad. Yeah, he's showing me how the anger, because in the play of consciousness, and it's shown really well in Mr. Robot, that it seems like someone else out there got a better deal than me. See, he meets the self that he thinks got a better deal. What's the heck? I'm in hell and over there in heaven, so I'm going to kill him off so I can have heaven. We can see it just doesn't, or kill our brother off so I can have a little piece of heaven there. I get the white dress and all the love. But we don't see that the killing, we're already dead. See, we're dead killing the dead and trying to kill what's dead. It's not alive to get life. We can't get life that way. We can only see that life is already here. He's also reminding me, we were talking a lot about prompts and, having any idea when we hear a prompt, like if you tell somebody something, it came to mind, like Marguerite had heard from Spirit to mention a movie and we're going to watch that together. And it was such a great reminder to see that, because the prompt is to speak what you're told. Sometimes we get confusion on what the prompt. I can see it here. Where sometimes the consciousness will grab the prompt. So the prompt is just to say whatever it is, like Marguerite texts me and said, okay, I'm hearing this. It's to share it and express it, but then not have like a clue about it. And I can see how it was such a great reminder for me to see sometimes when he'll give me a prompt and it's like, well, Jesus, I followed the prompt. I went and got, whatever it is, like those 3 beds, 3 bunk beds or whatever. And if they never get used or never have a mattress in them, like I can't know anything about it. And I'm seeing as soon as I have like one idea about it, like the cable company and signing up, and then it's not at the right speed. If I have like one idea that that's not a good speed or anything, and he's really teaching me how it's just about following in this moment. Like it's for this. It has a purpose I can't know. And like if there's one idea that I think I know what that prompt is for, or somebody contacts us here at the center and says, oh, I really want to come. And we celebrate. And if Jesus says, okay, yes, then it's that moment of saying yes. That's the happiness now. And if they come or not, see, the happiness can't be about a future event. Otherwise, it's already got a because on it. There's a condition placed on happiness. It goes to objective experience. The if then, if this happens, then this will happen. And it's just a helpful lesson. To be just, see that the prompt is only to point up to heaven. That's it. It's just a reminder you're loved, you're loved, you're loved. And then to uncouple from you're loved because it looks a certain way. Yes, he does arrange time and space. And I've said to him, it's like, Jesus, where's the time and space rearrangement here? It's not going smooth. And he just says, that's an idea about what time and space rearrangement looks like. I'm always rearranging time and space for you. But then I can see in how in consciousness, it can become an attachment to what the actual time and space, even it becomes an out picturing. An out picturing about what awakening is going to look like. That was another reason why Mr. Robot's such a great movie, because you can't tell, you can't hang on to how awakening's going to look. Because a lot of movies, the happy dream is, there's no way to show infinite love, but it seems to be about two beings coming together and walking off into the sunset, a male and a female form. And that can be misconstrued. Okay, the way it's going to look is I'm going to meet my happiest partner. See, that's already an out picturing. Out picturing of what it's going to look like in form. But it's helpful, to look. Kind of The Island, very powerful movie, and they go off on a boat at the end. But it's really just a symbol. These are all symbols of acceptance of divinity. They're not to be taken like, with a staple gun on the wall. Here's my image of what the happy dream is. Otherwise, it's still in the dream. It's still in the play of consciousness, loving to play. Like, this is what happiness looks like. And happiness doesn't look like something. It is what is. It is what we are. It's what's here. And the play may come up, like I said, you can feel steam rising sometimes. Someone said, oh, you're right about this looking at desires. It can look like that. And the ego can have like a heyday with it, really. It's steam. It's just ask Jesus whether this is a little ego heyday or is it release. Again, we're just asking each step. Is this a release? Am I holding on? I said it can be a release to curse him out. He said, yeah. Because, because that's really the play in consciousness. There has been some fist shaking. I remember sitting in my tub one time. I was like, oh, Jesus, I hate you. You can ask him, Jesus, do you mind? No, because he doesn't judge it. He knows the call of our heart is truth. And it's actually, that's having a good relationship with him, actually, because you're talking to him about everything. See, even when you're pissed, it's still, I'm not talking to you right now, but you're still listening. Oh, it's funny. Doesn't feel funny at the time, but then when it passes and then you look and go, okay. So you're still here. I know. And ultimately you're still going to listen to him. That's why I appreciate Kelly so much. She's like, she'll just say, I wanted to just boot Jesus, but he's going, go ahead, because he knows that's true. At least for being, it's admitting a denial. It's admitting that we don't want to speak to him too much, as opposed to, oh, I really want to talk to Jesus. And then we don't listen to him. I'm really listening to Jesus and we're not really listening at all. We're making up another little Mr. Robot dreamscape in there. And then there's the door is still open then. Okay, lesson 8. Jesus, show me where my mind is still preoccupied with past thoughts, anything comparative. Yeah, I've been really talking to him about just really looking at the desire to give thoughts meaning, that itch. How much that's really wanted, like so badly, wanting to give thoughts meaning. Like so much deep below the subconscious mind. And to preoccupy my mind with past thoughts. So I asked him about it. Let's ask him. Jesus, is that a desire to preoccupy the mind with past thoughts? Pack them in there. You can hear the yes. Okay. This idea, of course, the reason why you see only the past. No one really sees anything. Jesus, will you show me how I can't really see anything? Because we're seeing thoughts, which aren't anything. But they feel like something sometimes, especially when you're really mad at Jesus. Wanting to give him the boot. Then they really want to feel like something. Just see that they're passing. He says he's reminding me. Just see that they're passing. They're not. There's just the willingness to see that they're passing. And that you can't really know what a release is. Sometimes it is cursing them out, you know. He said that. I was so surprised. He said that sometimes. It is that. Sometimes we curse them and try to hold it, you know, because if there's a chip on the shoulder, it's like we're walking around with a continual chip on the shoulder. The one up. That's what I was talking about. I'm showing those little devils down there. Like because he tells you, okay, you're not ready for a miracle. All he's trying to show you consciousness, the play, to reveal to what's true is that little why we don't want to release to a miracle, because we still got that one upment, usurp the power of God thing going on. When he goes down there and shows you, I don't know. But you just feel that energy of, you know, I gotcha. One up on God. You just know it. You'll just see it. It's like one up God, like so badly. It's down there, the little devil down there, figuratively speaking, but you can just feel it. That wanting to keep it energy. That's what he's trying to take us to. And I think Anne, you know, a number of beings are expressing about how, you know, they've looked at a lot of things. But this, when he's directing the traffic, and we really are open to going, okay, show me that next one and show me. You know, those layers can come off all the way down. And then sometimes it's like, Jesus, I've been looking, but things are still near the surface, you know, some emotions, or just check in with them and about if it's release or holding. Is this release? A lot of times it appears, we've talked about this, it appears like a yawn. You just sit in these sessions and you're just constantly yawning, because it's like Rita was saying, she said, God, I've had such a tense jaw all the time. And since we've been doing this, my jaw's relaxing. Like you can just start feeling the relaxation. In bioenergetics, they call it body armoring. And it is such a great description of the display in consciousness, how thoughts reflect out in form. It's not, necessarily go to Jesus. God, my jaw's sewed. No, he's saying he wouldn't even put that off the list. I'm noticing that. There's just no relaxation because we're armored. The armoring, the protection, tension. Like he said, the smooth forehead, the reason is because when you're at peace, you're relaxed. It just reflects in form of the sense of relaxation. That's why you see the Buddha just relax. But as long as there's any below the level of awareness, desire, then you get little hell pop outs. Then you just keep looking. The idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the past. Oh yeah, and he's also reminding me, about like you'll get really cranky, right? It's almost like as consciousness is reunification of consciousness. He says this is helpful to say. You might even just like be really cranky before an opening. And the crankiness is actually just the release of what's been so tightly held and denied. And then it just opens. It's just helpful to know that. And then sometimes also, it's like the iris of the eye or the aperture on a lens, as it's starting and it opens, and it's like that kind of, and right in that kind of release thing, it's, it's that shark goes hunting. Kelly was teasing me about the shark right there, but it's like, yeah, done. There's a shark going. Did you know the shark going hunting? Because it's like kind of a protest to it's like an expansion, but really it's a release of that beingness can't hold on to that anymore. And it can release all kinds of ways, he's telling me. That's why we just don't know what the play, because we're ignorant in the play. We're so ignorant because the choice to be ignorant. You're sure you're going to die. And then it's like, this spaciousness. It's the ego screaming, I'm dying. It's like, and then it's over and it's like, I feel so relaxed. So that's why it's good to join and ask. And we feel like this is we feel it together. Is this expansion? Is this the dropping away? It's really just a falling away, but it feels like expansion because we've been living in the shoebox effect. Covered up by that pillows. Oh, that's so great. If you saw the latest one Kelly did with a fear, with the kid hiding under the pillows. That just feels like that sometimes. Looking out, you see this two eye. He's like covered with pillows. You got this little eye. It feels like that sometimes. I don't want to go out there. I'm swimming in the ocean of love and still mad sometimes. It's just the play until it all washes out. So it can feel like, kind of like, now all of a sudden it's so spacious and the ego starts labeling the spaciousness like it knows what it is. It's best not to define it at all. And I see why at Living Miracles, I don't talk about awake or not awake. That's just not a time use well spent at all. Who's awake in my awakening experience? No, because no, basically Jesus. No, I'm asking, is that a good use of time? Not at all, actually, because it'll come in on the conceptual mind. See, the wrong-mindedness will grab it and start describing, I'm awake now. No, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. Because it's like this, and I could feel that too. It's like a sense of desperation to be awake, and it's still in the play of consciousness. That's why we let him tell us what to say and what to do, because that comes from as truth. Because then everything else is the storyline of the one who wakes. Just be awake. It's just, you can see that the light, the holy instant's not announcing itself. It doesn't put up a billboard. I'm awake now. It just is, Now, when it came in purpose, you see, Jesus didn't go around saying, I'm awake. He knew no one would get that besides. Because it's just a recognition. It's actually, as you see the look at the light, that's the awake right there. Is there infinite light here? Now, being in the play of consciousness and seeing that the light's here, you can see that's just entirely, and my 24/7 supreme happiness, that's awake. I mean, that's what's awake. But that's what Jesus is pointing to. It's helpful. Yes, I see that there's light here. But everyone's light. So as soon as one being's awake and another being, well, they're not very awake over there, they're still ego, then that's the ego speaking. As soon as it's comparative, see? Now you can see it as a play in consciousness. And that can be discernment if that's your function. Jesus is really clear on that. You can see it as a play and mention it. There's a play happening, but there's no judgment in it. You just see it because you can't judge it. If you judge it, you're automatically on the hell train. So there's discernment with seeing where the consciousness is playing as one. See, it's not a separate thing. It's just a play, a movement in consciousness where you can see ultimately no one's being harmed. It's impossible. Harm's impossible. So it's just really, because it's one thing playing as many. But seeing where the play is helpful for discernment. Jesus can use that for learning. Yeah, our only function is to see supreme happiness as what's here. And look in and see, okay, there's light, then there's no to light. It makes it so, so simple. And again, that Mr. Robot movie, great opportunity just to look, incredible opportunity to look. Again, conceptual ideas about awakening, usurping the power of God. I put a little list in the message group because there are just so many. He's reminding me that's exactly why I had you read out for me the 4 core beliefs. And that's what he's going to start showing us in movies directly. He's saying he's going to start showing us where the 4 core, all those beliefs are playing so we can see it for the discernment. See, it's for the discernment, but not to make it about the character on the screen, to see that play where we're invested in the play. So to really take it back to, this is where I'm playing. I can see I'm playing that way too. I can see the play here. That's what the most important thing is to see not the character on the, because it's really easy to disassociate from it by saying, okay, now that character, you can point to it and it's kind of helpful, but to take it back always with Jesus, to go, Jesus, show me in this movie how I'm playing like this character. where I'm choosing like that character right there. And then that's the way we talk about it. I'm choosing like that character in this way. See, so it's always coming back here. This is a demonstration to me of how I'm choosing to usurp the power of God. Otherwise it's kind of like, over there talk, if you know what I mean. It can, I see it, but don't get it like that way. It doesn't detonate fully. As we talk about, let it detonate. And it's beautiful because being's a reflection, like it's not, I don't want that to, that's not detonating in it because we don't want it to, see. I don't want that to detonate. But he's just saying what's most helpful. He realizes this is a whole arm's length thing, because if you had a conversation about this beach scene, you, without really looking at that with Jesus, where he turns and runs toward, you would think that that is running toward love. Because in the play and the consciousness, that looks like running towards something. Consciousness, the ego's not going to look at that and say, oh, that's running away from looking right now at what the Holy Spirit, Mr. Robot, just told him. So then see the interpretive function on consciousness, how it plays. Oh, there she goes with the white dress. Go get her. No, sit there and really look at what the Holy Spirit just said about this isn't real. Look with me, look with me. See you later. But it's beautiful in the movie because Mr. Robot, the Holy Spirit, he just comes back and shows up again and tries to be reason. And yeah, this is miraculous. It's boy, I'm asking Jesus. So that's a total time and space rearrangement to bring that in so strongly right now. He says, yes. If you look at that movie and really go deep with it and let him show you how the play, how it plays. Because then, and also because the linear, it's so non-linear too. That's helpful too, because we're so used to the linear story. And he's just showing, it shows time simultaneous. You got these different storylines going at once in it. All the seeming casts of characters that are being made, just outstanding. It's a great reflection of this right here. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, because you can see the character just seeming jumping around to past, future, moving around, out picturing happiness, what that looks like. No one really sees anything. He sees only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your seeing suffers. Let's read that again. Really get that. Let's get that. I want to see that one, Jesus. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your seeing suffers. The mind wandering, you can ask them. See, you just like notice how we sit on the couch and we're seemingly in this picture, and then there'll be a trigger that will come up. Somebody will say something. Notice how often, that's what I was noticing, how often just a simple word someone would say, and it's like that ping off of it, and it goes out into another little dream right there, right in front of your eyes. Like you'll just go off into oh, what did you say again? It left. Now, if spirits guiding that, go with them. Just ask Jesus, is that you showing me something? And he says, yes, that does happen. You'll be talking to someone and he's showing you something. You need to pay attention to him. Don't give a rip about what's in the room, really. Because the ego will judge that and go, you weren't, don't follow that. Just go, am I with you, Jesus? That's the only question. Yes, so he's guiding the mind to where it needs to go see and what's most valuable use of time. Because I could see that play too, where I was really judging, okay, I'm not present with this person. The only thing you need to be present with is Jesus. And also to learn to really be present with your brother and listen to your brother, like in these one-on-one joinings. Yes, be fully present with and hearing, and really that's dropping into the true hearing of your brother. But he is telling me there are times when he's like Hacksaw Ridge. I love that movie because I love it because it is such a demonstration, and it's a real-time demonstration that we can hear the Holy Spirit under every circumstance. So I'm making a little list of those uncompromising movies where you follow the Holy Spirit in every circumstance. And we don't know what that looks like either. So we got to ask Jesus what to put the mind on and ask him. But here, the bombs are bursting and what would you have me do? Go back into the fire. And he's going to send you, because he says behind your greatest fear is the greatest love of all. See, and we're turning away. And chapter 20 may bring that up. Just go in and just stand into it. Go in. Is that what you're saying, Jesus? Yes, go in. No more run, don't run on the beach thinking that you're chasing a happiness. Yes, he keeps saying, stay with me, stay with me. That's for me. Stay with me. The mind's preoccupation with past, the cause of the misconception about time from what you're seeing. See, you can see time's not linear. If you really start looking at it, just look with him. Because like Time's End or Emissary, that episode of Star Trek, where he's interacting with the light and he keeps going back to the scene where his wife's killed over and over again. And he's blaming the light. He's saying, why are you taking me back here? He says, we're not taking you here. You're taking us here. Where he really gets that time's not linear. You're deciding this to come into this experience in an interpretive function that something happened to you. You're just bringing here, and they're part of the support of the healing to look deeply at where the mind was preoccupied with past thoughts. And that was happening too. I had a grievance because I'd stayed at Living Miracles, and I'm like with Muji, and it kept coming back up into mine until I really saw, no, this is for forgiveness. I need to look at any grievances. And I just started looking at every single grievance in it. The reason it's coming up is to keep till the grievance. It's like, why is this coming up? Because it's coming up to see the grievance in it. To see where the mind's still preoccupied with past thoughts. Until we're really willing to look and forgive. That's why all the pain is avoidance of looking. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. You can see that the light's it's not grasping anything. It doesn't grasp. Doesn't grasp at all. The ego pretends like it can grasp something. You know how it says, it has this little thing. It goes, I got to get a handle on this. I got to get a handle. it's actually, I'm asking Jesus, it's actually where it's trying to get a cluster of thoughts. It's like objective experience. It wants objective experience to kind of prove something. See, the light doesn't have a handle on anything. It just is. And so even the ego pretends like it understands what time is. Time is not understandable. It's a concept. It's a little paper idea. Just ask Jesus, am I susceptible to time actually? Do I actually have a clue what time is? You can ask him. Do I actually know what that is? See, it's an idea that we think we know what time actually is. What is it? But yet the whole of the play in consciousness is to play around time and watches and clocks and this having to happen and not having enough time. I need more time. Listen to that even. How that's a throw off. I need more time. I need to save time. Listen to that salvation. That as though time gives salvation. If I had more of it, I would be saved. Hear the underlying tick-tock in that. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time and death being the same. That in the investment in the conceptual, it's really helpful to see that we don't know what time is when that part of the fortress falls. I mean, it'll still be in the play, it's not like you don't go to meetings and set a time, we set a time of 6. The Holy Spirit will use time to show you there's no time. That's why we let him control time. See, when he's in control. That feels like a good question. I'm going to start asking him, you got control of the time here, Jesus? He says, yes. Check in. You controlling time here? Yes. And letting him control time. Otherwise, that concept rules us. We've given divine being, ask him, have I given divine being control of time over myself as a divine being, abdicated myself, like a Borg, being assimilated? I think it's so horrible to be assimilated into the Borg. Hi, Nora. If you want to type your question in the chat, generally we just contemplate, but I can hear it's in purpose for your question if you want to share it and type it in chat. We'd love to hear it, or you can text it to me and email. I try and answer all of those in these sessions. Thank you for joining us. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. The one holy true thought one can hold about the past is that it's not here. That's a great thought, actually. Try that thought on. To think about it at all is therefore to think about illusions. Wow. To think about time at all. Let's ask him about that. Well, he said it's investing in what doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist, so we don't invest in it. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or anticipating the future. Let's get a sense from Jesus. That feels really good because he's saying very few have realized, might as well realize it. Let's go all the way. You know, he's given us the opportunity. He's invited us to come together. Let's see. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or anticipating the future. Because we can see, certainly that's the play in consciousness, to hold on to the past or and run little movies, little mini movies, anticipating this is what's going to happen. And here are all my worries. I'm all worried about this, 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 and this. If this happens, and then trying to protect the future. That feels really good to have them show us directly. Might as well be the ones who realize what's entailed, that entails. Well, first of all, we can see in the light of infinite being, it doesn't do that. Infinite, the holy instant doesn't have picturing in it, and it doesn't have a past. So Jesus, show us how this is, we want to realize what is actually entailed in picturing the past. He just says death is all he says. He says death. So can you show us the death in the past? Yes. And light can't know death. Light doesn't know what death is, so it's impossible. The mind is actually blank when it does this because it is not really thinking about anything. Jesus, are we really convinced that we are thinking about something? Yes, he says, yes, that's the whole thing. We're so convinced that thinking is doing something. Okay, so just show us the blankness in that. Show us the death. Go ahead. To show it, just reveal. So he reveals how those pictures are just they're untrue, and they're just obscuring what's true, the light within. But it's helpful to see it directly with them. Show it to me directly, how that's nothing. He says, yes, because as long as you believe that's something, all those memories, you'll keep them. You'll value them, that blankness. And I'm asking him about, because I've heard people talk about it's kind of like a blankness. And you hear sometimes spiritual teachers talk about that blankness. That's how sometimes it is blank. And that's how it plays in consciousness, to avoid actually seeing that that's a play in consciousness, that blankness. So all those pictures is blankness. That's a play. Yes. This is really a kingpin, seeing that that's blank. He's saying yes. Those scenarios are blankness. I'm asking him, and that blankness is really wanted, isn't it? He goes, yes, it's the only way it can occur is through the desire for it. That's why he's having to look at desire to see where the consciousness plays to be blank. The purpose of the exercises for today is to begin to train your mind to recognize when it's not really thinking at all. While thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. Recognizing your mind is merely blank rather than believing it is filled with real ideas is the first step to opening the way to vision. The exercises for today should be done with eyes closed. This is because you actually cannot see anything, and it's easier to recognize that no matter how vividly you may picture a thought, you're not seeing anything. Yeah, I can feel how that's how the ego, the plane consciousness really wants that, to have it be something when it's nothing. It's a good reminder. With as a little investment as possible, search your mind for the usual minute or so, merely noting the thoughts you find there. Name each one by the central figure or theme it contains and pass on to the next. Introduce the practice period by saying, I seem to be thinking about whatever the thought is. Then name each of your thoughts specifically. For example, I seem to be thinking about name of a person. Okay, Marguerite, about name of an object, about name of emotion, and so on, concluding at the end of the mid-searching period with, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This can be done for 4 or 5 minutes during the day unless you find it irritates you. If you find it, trying 3 or 4 times is sufficient. This is really the gentleness he's talking about, to be really gentle. You may find it helpful, however, to include your irritation or any emotion that the idea for today may induce in the mind searching itself. To include your irritation. Okay, any irritation or any emotion that the idea for today may induce. This feels like a good one to practice today. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I'm really appreciating like going back to ground zero with the lessons, like totally seeing them in a whole new way. Take them even to a greater depth of seeing, because he's really been showing me again how much those thoughts are relied on, you know, how much they're really wanted and as a play in consciousness. I can see it, you know, that wanting blankness. Jesus is wanting blankness, this blankness through these thoughts of desired experience. He goes, yep. Can we see through the desire of that? He says, yes. With willingness, once you're willing to see that this out picturing is blankness, is death. Is this death to the light? It's complete death to the light, he says. Then we can just look and see. Because almost at first he has to even convince us that even single thoughts are blankness until we're willing to accept like they're all totally blankness. So that's really helpful. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm glad Nora mentioned that to ask questions. So it feels like we'll have a Q&A for spirit. It's coming up here. I'm not sure. I'm not getting a timeline on it, but we will. And where beings can ask. These sessions are just for clarification or just for dropping into that deep, listening to Jesus really deeply so you can hear him and then share his But we will, it seems like, because he really hasn't said to do that before in the past, to have like, I mean, generally if they come up, but not to like have a, ask Jesus, because he's really encouraging every being to, I mean, it seems like it comes out in form, but the focus is, to hear him internally. But he is saying, I can hear it now. That was a good prompt from Nora to have time, if it's desired, and just kind of ask about things specifically. That might be the call to ask about. So we'll see when that comes in and put that out there. If questions want to be asked specifically. So thank you for joining with us today. And I send you love. We send you love from San Juan Kosala. And yeah, know that you can hear Jesus beautifully. And our only function is to speak, hear, speak, and follow that voice for love within. Oh,
Big time.